Hello, friends. Welcome to Logistics of Logistics podcast. My name is Joe Lynch. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's topic is why it's time to expect more from your EDI platform with Cleo's Shane Hagen. How's it going, Shane?
Very good, very good.
So, Shane,
thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. We should also mention we are in New Orleans at the Trimble Insight Tech Conference. Kind of a mouthful. Very cool conference. Really enjoyed it here. New Orleans is a great place to have a conference, and there's so much cool tech. Every partner, every customer seems like they're here. So it's been a fantastic conference. Thank you so much for Trimble. So Shane, please introduce yourself and your company and what you guys do.
Yeah, so my name's Shane Hagen. I'm a solution architect at Cleo. And so Cleo is a B2B integration platform. We effectively connect businesses together across the supply chain and make sure they're communicating smoothly and effectively. We connect logistics companies, manufacturing companies, warehouses, wholesale, retailers, really any company across the supply chain.
Yep. EDI is so important, and it's one of those things that I've talked to people about EDI in the podcast for. Super important, but it's something that it's the foundational piece that connects our supply chains. And for a long time, we would say, well, soon we won't even use EDI. Everything will be an API. Life will be easy.
Yep.
And never happened.
They've been saying that for a while. I don't really see it going anywhere because, like you said, it's so foundational and it's ingrained at this point.
Well, there's huge companies are using it.
Exactly, and they're not going to rip it out.
They don't have
replace
to.
it. So if
they're
it
the
works,
biggest
it works.
companies in the world, they don't have to do that.
But we do see trends when companies come along and start to modernize and want to connect to other businesses. They might stand up APIs instead of doing EDI. But at the end of the day, you're probably going to have to support both.
You're going to have to do both for a while. In our lifetime, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm a lot older than you, so maybe in my lifetime we'll be using EDI.
Yeah.
So again, one more time, what problem are you solving for your customers, and who are your customers?
Yeah, so we solve problems of missed expectations, right? Folks, whether it's your partners expect more from you, your EDI partners expect more from you, or you expect more from your EDI platform. So we aim to deliver a best-in-class EDI solution so that you can be the best partner you can be for your partners. And like I said earlier, we have solutions in logistics, manufacturing, retail, and wholesale.
And I think there's another piece to this, which is, this conference, the Trimble conference, is all about, we got to be secure, we got to be open, meaning I can collaborate with my business partners, and then we have to be connected. And security, best practices, I'm sure that's part of what you guys are doing, but being open and then connected, if you're disconnected in a connected world, you're doing clerk work, and
Exactly.
We'll talk more about that in a minute. But I think EDI and getting connected to your partners, I'll just put it in the very nasty terms. If I get a new sale and I'm a logistics company or warehousing company, and I say I'm going to support this company that just got a new deal with Whole Foods, and I can't get connected to Whole Foods. I can't get connected to my customer, which might be some sort of CPG. I'm going to wait. So if it takes
hurry up and wait,
if it takes 90 days to get me, that means 90 days that we don't have the revenue that we wanted from that deal.
Exactly.
And meanwhile, you guys could get me connected in weeks. And so could be, do you want to miss out on a few months of revenue? And there's another aspect, which is you're being told to connect and add value to that Whole Foods, and Whole Foods says, we're excited, we got this shelf open for you. And you say, oh, sorry, our trucking company and our warehousing company can't get it together, and so we'll get it to you next quarter. They might say, no thanks, there's somebody who knows what they're doing, and we'd rather work with them.
Exactly.
So this is just basics business, and again, this is a foundational piece of our supply chains. You don't get it right, you don't get to play.
Exactly. So yeah, we're aiming so that those cycles that might take months or weeks today can take days.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal.
And we used to talk about integrations where it was just like, oh, we have to integrate. I got a guy who's going to do this. Those are dangerous too, because of the maybe best practices aren't being used, and maybe open yourself up to some cybersecurity issues.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shane, tell us a little bit about you. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Some career highlights before you joined the mothership Cleo.
Yeah, so I grew up in central Pennsylvania, Hershey or Harrisburg, if you've ever been.
It's where Shane Gillis is from, Mechanicsburg.
Yeah. Shout out to fellow Shane in central PA. So yeah, grew up there, went to college at Penn State, got
Very
a
nice.
degree in computer science.
We are,
yes, sir. And then I got a job out of college at a company similar to Cleo. Was
not
more,
as good.
They're just more focused in a different area, doing more application integrations rather than business integrations. So I started there, but they had a really good like sales or solution architect program for junior folks coming out of college. So that's really where I think I got the chops for a role like this. And so I was there for about 3.5, 4 years, and then switched to Cleo about 2 or 3 years ago.
So you had choices. Why did you go to Cleo?
They reached out to me and, had some compelling messaging. And I mean, the people I talked to was the most impressive part. Every person I talked to during the interview process, everybody I met, they were all, just incredible people. So I thought, I have to take this opportunity. This is too good to pass up.
Very nice, very nice. Well, they've got a nice booth here, and I saw all you guys here, and I talked to you guys the other day, so I know a little bit about what you guys are trying to accomplish. So, before we go any further, you guys are here at the Trimble conference. Why is Trimble such an important part of what you guys do at Cleo?
And you know what? The Trimble and Cleo relationship kind of goes back a little while. Cleo made an acquisition of a company called Xtol. I think that was in the mid-2000s or 2010s. And Trimble was a key partner of Xtol. So it goes way back. And so we've kind of maintained that relationship from there. And so we deliver integration solutions for Trimble customers.
So anybody who's part of that Trimble ecosystem who needs to get connected, they can work with you.
Exactly.
And obviously you guys are at this conference. Are you getting business here?
Yeah, absolutely. We're having great conversations at the booth. I did a radio show yesterday, and I mentioned
was that
you.
Dave Nemo?
Yeah, Dave Nemo.
Oh, yeah.
Radio Nemo.
I wanted to see him. He already went home, but
okay.
I know Jimmy Mack lives here in New Orleans.
Yeah. I think the other guy lives here. Doesn't Dave live in New Orleans, or maybe he's from New Orleans?
Yeah.
They mentioned something about that.
Yeah, they live here. I think they're both in New Orleans, but maybe Dave could be in LA. Who knows?
Okay.
They're an interesting group. I love having. I go on Dave Nemo's show every once in a while.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah,
he was just on my
they
show
were a great
the other
time.
day.
So that was good. And then we just did the onstage partner showdown. So all of the technology partners, we did 5-minute demos on stage, and that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, and you guys told me you won.
We did not win. Nobody likes EDI enough to vote for us on that.
So you're telling me there's a sexier, more fun technology out there?
Probably, yes.
Okay. Yeah, well, so Trimble, very important partner to everybody here. And there's a lot of shippers here. So I just interviewed Rob Painter, the CEO of Trimble, and he said we have more shippers than ever before. And I said, I believe it. I heard a number of companies say, we come to the conference because we are a Trimble partner, or sometimes they compete against Trimble in some places, but we partner in others. But our customers are here. And I've heard a lot of very interesting conversations. Everybody is looking to get connected.
Yep.
How do I go faster? How do I security faster? And everybody's looking to serve their customers better with less.
Exactly.
Less.
And sometimes there's breaks in the chain, and it takes too long to fix it.
Yep.
And all of those things we try to make more efficient for our customers.
Yep. So, getting back to it, the problem you solve, and I wrote a few things down here. I said disconnected in a connected world. If you're not connected, so it depends on the situation, but sometimes you're not connected and you say, as a result of not being connected, I have somebody doing manual entry into a spreadsheet or uploading into a system. I get an email from them every morning, and then we have somebody manually enter it in with errors, with time, with turnover of employees, because no one wants to do that job for long. And so now I got manual effort, I got clerk work, and I came to this industry about 15 years ago, and I came from automotive, and I was shocked by the number of clerk in the business. And a lot of people doing manual entry. No one wants to do that, and they're not doing it as well as an automated pull from another system. And I think more and more of our the big customers, if you want to get work in automotive, you want to work in retail, you have to be able to connect. They're not going to say, "Oh, cool, you don't like to connect with us? I'll send you a spreadsheet every morning." They won't do it. They're like, "Oh, you can't play."
There's no chance you're doing business like that. So if you want to scale, if you want to grow, land those bigger customers, you have to have a solution like this.
So it's not a matter of if I want to get it. Sometimes it's we'll just continue the manual clerk work. Not a good idea, but sometimes you have to do it. You have to get connected. And again, there's two problems. I just sold somebody on a solution. You're going to love working with us. You're going to save money. We're going to improve everything. That's a beautiful promise. And then the first thing you do is say, "Oh, actually, we can't connect for another few months." And they're like, "Wait, what?" Because maybe the sales guy didn't recognize that you don't have an EDI partner that can get you connected that fast. So the first thing you've done with your customer after they said yes was, "Hey,
we got to wait.
You're going to wait." And so I know you told your boss you're fixing that problem. Tell them it'll be fixed next quarter. And then you got to go back to your boss and say, "Yes, I sold it, but we're not going to see the revenue for 3 months." These are incorrect answers. For those of you who haven't been to business school, that's an incorrect answer. You can't do it that way. So talk about, and I know that there's lots of EDI companies out there. And I'm sure there's a lot of them are good, but there's also the old school, which will take 60, 90 days to get you connected.
Exactly. And that old school method or the old way of doing it, there's modern solutions like ours and others that have kind of changed the script. But the old school way of doing it is, hey, we have this network or we have this inroad, and when you bring on a new customer, tell us and we'll go handle it for you. And they go away.
That's an old school integration.
And you have no idea what's actually happening, what's being built, is anything actually making progress.
Might also be a cybersecurity risk if they didn't use the best practices.
Exactly. So that's kind of the old school way of doing it. We try to open it up. It's a glass box. You see exactly what's going on, what progress is being made, so that you're in the know. You're not just trusting that Joe Lynch is building your integration to your new partner, and you don't have any insight into that.
So am I right to say you guys are an effective platform? So you're already connected to, I'm guessing, thousands of companies so if I win a new account and you go, "Oh, this is a big manufacturer in Ohio," most likely you're going to go, "Cool, we're already connected to those guys."
Exactly.
And if we're not connected to them, we'll get connected to them pretty quick.
Exactly. So it's an open framework, if you want to call it that. Just, you can jump in and configure new partners, or if we've seen them before, grab them off the shelf, plug it in, and do your own little adjustments, because obviously you're going to have unique requirements for each partner, or each relationship rather. But largely have a scalable way to bring on partners.
We probably should, since we're talking about EDI. What is EDI? So every once in a while, someone will say API, and I see EDI. Again, earlier on, we're joking that at one time everyone said, "Oh, well, everyone's moving to APIs. We won't have them anymore." What is an EDI? What is an API in layman's terms, not in techie terms? And from what I also understand, there is no standard EDI. So the EDI information I get from Ford Motor Company might be completely different than I get from General Motors.
Yeah, and so it's effectively an electronic way to communicate, right? An automated way to communicate between businesses. That's EDI, and there is a standard. There's actually multiple standards, but
That's the problem.
Yeah.
If there's multiple standards, there's no standard.
Yeah. So in America, largely there is a standard that's accepted and used, and the way the data looks and the way it appears out of Ford's system will look pretty similar to, say, GM, for example, right? But they are going to use the data differently or put it in different places, so you do have to make those tweaks.
Oh, so is that more of a mapping?
Yes. So you have those kind of unique mapping requirements, but largely it's structured the same way. Now, API is at less of a standard. It's the Wild West. Anybody can deploy their own API, and it can.
But one of the challenges we've had with API, we could connect very quickly. But I was at the cybersecurity conference down in Cleveland last year, and they said, slow down on the APIs. Make sure that you're not plugging into security problems.
That's a great point. But
take an extra day.
Yes, and it's also the design, because, like I said, like EDI, it's largely looks the same. So there is a more reliable way to scale out and build solutions for it. API, again, if we're going back to Ford and GM, if Ford deploys an API, it will look completely different than GM's API.
Yeah. So EDI has different information that I can send. So when I was still at a logistics company, we would get EDI from the LTL carriers that we could share with our customer. And so one of them would be, we picked it up. That was an EDI. And it had some sort of number associated. I forgot the numbers now. So there was the pickup number, and then there was, like, in transit, there was some sort of update. Delivered, there was another update. The price, another. So each one of them had a number. And I seem to think we kind of always were 5, 7 numbers. Are there a lot more than that?
Standard, 4 is like the core for a lot of these use cases, but it can scale out to 7 or 8.
So the difference with an EDI is it's not always open. It's not constantly communicating back and forth. It's just, here you go. Here's the update. Exactly. It got picked up. And it's not always real time either. So
it's almost never real time. It's a transaction or a document.
And so API tends to be,
it can be
more of a real time. Now, we used to say, we can give you real time updates on your freight. And I would always think, real time-ish.
Sure. Yes.
within an hour or two, maybe.
It depends what what aspects that we're talking about here for real time, like a freight or GPS tracking, right? That can be real time. That should be snap of a finger.
So I understand when somebody described it this way to me, that if I went to a restaurant and I sat at a table and the waitress was going and taking my order, walking back to the kitchen, giving it to the cook, that's kind of how EDI works. And they said, if I sat at the counter and I could speak directly to the cook, we're having a conversation back and forth, they go, that's more of an API connection. I was like, okay, that's that's simple enough. So basically the EDI is kind of it's still communicating to the kitchen and to the consumer, but it's more discreet.
Exactly. And that slip that the waitress writes the order on, that's the cook can expect the same thing every single time. But if every customer walks up to the counter and orders what they want, they might say it differently or say it in a different order, and that's where you get the API. It's it's slightly different structure,
and it's a back and forth too.
Exactly.
So absolutely positively need to kind of get a modern EDI platform partner. And I know you guys are the very best ones, but there's other ones who are here, and I think they all have a similar message, which is it's really costly to do it wrong, because it's the first thing you're doing with a new customer. And if it takes too long and you're disconnected, it's horrible. Also, I remember working with customers when I was at a logistics company, and they say, we would like to connect with you directly, So all of our orders go right to your system. But it costs like 10 grand to get that, and nobody paid it. So we always had people say, can we do it? And we'd always say yes. No one ever did it. But now everybody's doing it. That's just stuff that nobody needs to have. I sent you that email, and then you said, hey, did your gal get that so she can enter it all in? No, she's sick today. Oh, shoot. Does anyone have her password? We have to get in there, right? The orders have to get in.
Yeah.
That's a stupid way to work. Oh, she quit? Oh, so does anyone else how else to enter into the system?
So many companies still do business that way. So
it's also in this world, young people know that is a waste of time. I say it all the time. Our consumer tech world, the stuff we use on our phones, the stuff we use at home, we know what we're capable of. And then when you go to work, you're never going to accept, oh, I guess you got to hit Control F9 to get to the cost screen. Nobody's doing that. We expect consumer grade technology. Young people like myself, when I went to work and they said you have data entry, that was part of the job, regardless of the younger people today. First off, there's not as many of them. Secondly, why waste the time? Why waste their life doing that?
exactly.
So we talked about what EDI is. Now, the name of the title today is Why It's Time to Expect More from Your EDI Platform. So what do you mean by that?
So when folks talk about EDI, it is largely about that onboarding process, right? How fast can we get a new partner on board? And that's really, it's very important. It's a very important conversation to have. Obviously, we've been talking about that pretty much.
It's the first thing you're doing with your new customer.
Exactly. But it's also some things to consider post onboarding, post relationship. How can we make sure that you're maintaining a solid relationship with your partner? If there's expectations that you have of your partner, maybe if we're using a logistics example, you're contracted with a carrier or a shipper, and they're supposed to send you 100 loads a month, right? And if you're not hitting that metric, we want to know about that, right? We want to track that. Or if they expect you to send updates every 5 minutes, if you're not doing that, we're in the middle, we know what you're communicating. We should let you know that, hey, you're not meeting these customer requirements.
So are you guys in effect providing analytics and scorecards?
In a very roundabout way. I don't want to say we're an analytics platform because we're not.
Right.
But we do B2B analytics or B2B monitoring to make sure you hit those metrics.
Okay. So the expectation that you're talking about, why to expect more, is you want somebody beyond onboarding. So somebody who's not going to say, yep, we onboarded them, call us next time you have a new customer.
Exactly.
So you want to I would also say, there's always, when any new technology implementation, there's always this time when you go, oh, the hell with it, just launch. I got to get back to my day job. And maybe you only launched at 80%.
Sure.
And I think it's important when you're selling technology to say, hey guys, if we only going to implement 80% of what we talked about because of some delay or another, let's talk about what that next phase looks like. And
Absolutely.
I've experienced this, because then you come back like a year later and say, you promised us an ROI of blank and we never got it. And you're like, yeah, because we didn't implement the software. Is there some of that in the EDI business?
Absolutely. And, we try to be clear and set expectations up front, because there's obviously, phases to this. You get on board, you build the integrations, you get comfortable with the new solution that you have, and then introduce some of that stuff that layers on top to monitor and make sure things are working. So we're not, throwing the kitchen sink at you when you come on as a new partner.
Well, I think sometimes there's always resource issues. And I used to say this in the past, that if you were a big shipper and you were on board, you were being onboarded to a new logistics company, the logistics company would be the weak link in the implementation. Not anymore. It's because they're more likely to say, hey, we have an onboarding team, we have a process, here's the way we do it. Used to be like, you can't onboard us, you don't know what you're doing. But I think customer success is upgraded, especially in the biggest freight brokerages, the biggest transportation companies. The bar has just gotten way higher for those guys. And I think this is part of it. Because again, you don't want to start the relationship with, oh, we don't know what we're doing. I know I said we'd start in May 1st, but how's September seem? Are you open in September? That's a horrible conversation to have. And again, revenue out of your pocket, value not provided to your customer, and a disappointment to start. It's just all bad, bad, bad. Three strikes.
Absolutely.
So what else should I expect from my EDI platform provider?
And we talked a little bit about this. Kind of the old school way is, hey, we have a new partner we want to onboard, EDI provider, take this and onboard the partner, right? And we see that as a bottleneck. We, kind of that black box solution where they go away and they do it and you kind of just trust that they're doing it. And we want to be as open as possible. So you have full access to the platform as a customer, right? You can go in there and make changes and configure mappings like you mentioned earlier yourself, right? So you see exactly what's going on, what's being built, and you can also fix things yourself, right? When things do break, right? And when things break, you don't have to rely on us to fix it for you and take, I'm not saying our support team would take a long time, but you
could do it yourself if you want to.
Exactly.
And if I need help from Cleo, I can get it. It occurs to me, that if I was a big company, like I mentioned, let's just say Kroger or something,
sure,
I could see them getting to a place where they say, yes, we're going to bring you on as a supplier. You must work with Cleo. And I can see them doing that just from a perspective of, we want consistency. I want security. Yeah. I know we vetted them, so I'm happy with them. I don't want to have a whole bunch of different tech connecting to my system because my systems are too valuable to take a chance.
And that's exactly what happens. And I mean, for that Kroger example, right? If we were sitting as Kroger's B2B partner, we would be the exclusive broker between Kroger and its suppliers. But the suppliers might use their own technology. They could use their own technology. Right. And that's the whole point of EDI and B2B communication is you meet in the middle somewhere and agree on a standard. We're
in a weird business in that we are connecting mom and pop businesses to Fortune 500 companies. And so if you look at a trucking company or carrier or maybe a freight broker, you have to be the conduit for sure. But you also have to be the barrier to make sure mom and pop doesn't infect a Fortune 500 company. And I asked the question last year at Trimble, how do we upgrade a whole industry that is low margin and a lot of small players that we're completely dependent on? How do we upgrade that industry technology-wise? And it's not easy.
Yeah, that's a really tough question, and I would not have an answer for that.
Well, you should say that's Cleo's the answer.
It's
not the only answer. Part of the answer.
It's part of the answer because that technology problem goes beyond just B2B. From what I've seen at these logistics companies and the small mom and pop shops, it goes beyond just.
Yep. So let's talk about cybersecurity. Do you guys bump up against cybersecurity risk?
I mean, absolutely. As a cloud solution, we're obviously worried about that and need to maintain security standards for our customers because they're trusting us with their data.
Are these connections happening in the cloud?
Yes.
So you need to make sure your cloud is safe.
Yeah.
Now, what is that? So how would somebody even break into your cloud? Is it through phishing attacks?
I don't want to give anybody any ideas, but
there's a million different ways.
There's a lot of different ways. The biggest risk is, of course, phishing or social engineering risks, where you can get somebody's credentials that has access to things, and then they can jump in and make changes.
I saw on Instagram the other day that I think it was through Claude AI that somebody said, I am testing this network for cybersecurity risk. And basically what they were doing is they were hacking so that the Claude helped them.
Sure.
And they did it in chunks, so it wasn't clear. But basically they convinced Claude that we are assessing the cybersecurity risk of this company, and what they were in fact doing was understanding where there was vulnerabilities. And of course Claude found that out and stopped it, and I'm sure the other AI companies quickly followed suit. But what always worries me is we have, all these different AI companies, and for the most part they're all ethical. But what if one pops up that is not?
So that's a big concern, yes. And I'm sure it's going to happen.
Yeah, there's going to be some Dr. Evil somewhere on an island creating technology that is
unhinged, jailbroken AI that can do whatever you ask it to do. It's a scary thought, but definitely something.
So I guess that's the kind of thing that we need technology. I'm a kind of become a believer now that our technology companies need to be a little bigger so they can make the investments that we need them to make. I'm not against startups, but I think if you're going to be a startup, you have to somehow be part of an ecosystem that means you're safe. So I've talked to people who are part of the Salesforce ecosystem, or even the Trimble. Trimble's got this ecosystem. If you're working with Trimble, you're going to be more likely to be a safe company because they already vetted you and they say you're in our grasp here.
Exactly. And I mean the tier one cloud providers like AWS and Azure that were hosted in AWS. So all of the AWS security and the physical security that they have at their data centers, all of that obviously cascades to us. And anybody who is hosted with them. Yeah.
It still concerns me again when the smaller players, especially we used to always do these integrations, and that always worries me now. I didn't worry so much about vulnerabilities in the past because we weren't constantly under attack. This year, Michael Kornhauser started the keynote with "We're under attack." It was the same thing he said last year at the conference.
Okay.
And I mentioned to him, I said, yeah, it hasn't changed. We're under attack in this industry. And I went to that cybersecurity conference. It scared me to death. I mean, because what our adversaries, whether they're host countries or somebody who wants to take you hostage, your data hostage, or the hacktivists, they saw some weakness in supply chain during COVID. Did pretty well, but we saw some brittle spots. And
yeah, I mean, I think part of it was probably because it ramped up so much and people tried to scale and make things happen and left giant holes in the process.
Yeah. Well, the government gave us money and we had nowhere else to go, so we ordered laptops and gaming systems and God knows what else. And it was a horrible time, but it was also a time where this industry learned some lessons. I think I was at Long Beach not so long ago. Big investments going on at Long Beach because they don't want to have millions of dollars floating around in the harbor waiting to unload.
Right.
So anyway, I want to wrap this bad boy up.
Okay.
So I'm talking to my friend Shane Hagen, and we're talking about why it's time to expect more from your EDI platform with Cleo's Shane Hagen. And first, we talked about Trimble and the importance of being at the Trimble conference and being, more importantly, a Trimble partner, which you guys are. And I think this connected ecosystem that they're talking about is pretty impressive. I think 1 million trucks, $60 billion worth of freight moving through it and only growing. And not only do we have Trimble, we have all their partners. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people in there who are partners with. So if you say, oh, I work with Trimble, but I also want to work with so-and-so, they're probably part of the Trimble ecosystem. We talked about what problem you solve, and the problem is if I'm not connected, I'm disconnected in a very connected world. The expectation now is connected, and it's not connected in 60 days or 90 days. It's connected now. And it's not, oh, we cobbled it together with a guy who did one of these 5 years ago. It's we're best practices right now. We're going to get it done in the next week. It's secure, safe, and fast. It has to be. And it has to match whatever the expectations are of your new customer. You have to meet those. And it can't be something that is disappointing to them right off the bat. We also talk about time to value. So if I just sold you something, it's going to save you a lot of money. I want to implement it now, not in 90 days. And if you told the boss I made a big sale, he wants the money this month, not in 90 days. So speed, safety. We also talked about this ongoing support. You're not just there for the implementation, you're there on an ongoing basis, not only to make sure it's secure, but also to say, hey, you guys aren't meeting the expectations of your customer. We can't help but notice. Here's some information on that. Anyway, put a big old bow on this one, Shane. Final thoughts on the topic.
I mean, I don't know if I could have said it better than you just did.
Thank you.
But yeah, if whether it's missed expectations from your customers or from your solution provider or whatever it is, if you are feeling disconnected in a world that largely needs to be connected, Cleo can help connect you, get you automated across the supply chain. I know we talked a lot about logistics today and transportation, but we can really touch any part of the supply chain, whether it's warehousing, order to cash with manufacturing, supplier integrations. So we can really be a core partner to automate your entire logistics practice, or your entire B2B practice rather, and make sure that those ongoing relationships are moving as they should, expectations are being met, and if there's any problems, anything's coming up, you're there to be able to act on it, or our team is there to help you act on it.
I love it. I say this all the time on my podcast. When you have a partner, you should be vetting them, and it shouldn't be I'm dating or I'm engaged. You get married to that partner, which means you vet them. So everybody's comfortable saying my trucking partner, my transportation partner, my brokerage partner. I think it's time people start looking and saying my tech partner, my EDI partner, and get them before you need them, right? And build those relationships. And I think, like any relationship, you have to invest in it.
Absolutely.
And not necessarily a whole bunch of money, but invest in understanding what we need to do for each other for us to both be successful.
Yeah, it's that upfront time you spend together going into the process, what's important to both of the parties involved, us and our customers, and make sure we both understand that, and that's clear going into a relationship. So that's absolutely core to Cleo's practice.
Right. I'm sure you guys have gotten the call, hey, this is all screwed up. Our customer's angry, come in and fix it. And I'm sure you'll do that business, but it's much better if you say, hey, we're bumping up against this every once in a while. Could you get involved with us and make sure, again, you're not flirting with these people. You should really say, these are our partners, and that means you vet them. And I think what happens so often, we overuse the word partner, and you say they're my partner because I used them one time. I've never even met them. You got to have some time spent making sure they're the right one for your partnership.
Exactly. And
what I'll do, Shane, I'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile,
Okay.
a link to your website. Any of the links Ryan gives me, I will put in the show notes so people can reach out and talk to you. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank all of you for listening to my podcast. Your support's very much appreciated. Until next time, onward and upward. You have been listening to the Logistics of Logistics podcast, where we engage with leaders in the logistics and supply chain community. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, hit the like button, and leave us a nice review on Apple or Spotify or wherever else you listen. Also, please check out our videos on YouTube and connect with us on LinkedIn. We're very big on LinkedIn. And you can also reach us on the logisticsoflogistics.com, our website.